Hi everyone, today I will talk about a device called a SQUID, which stands for Superconducting Quantum Interference Device. It's an extremely sensitive magnetometer that can detect very small magnetic fields. We need sensors like this because many important systems produce magnetic signals that are tiny. Signals from neural activity, from superconducting materials, and from quantum circuits where small flux changes can represent a qubit state. Ordinary sensors can't pick up these small fields, so SQUIDs were developed to reach this much higher level of sensitivity. SQUIDs came out of two major discoveries in the early days of superconductivity research. Superconductivity was discovered in 1911, showing that some materials can carry current with essentially zero resistance at low temperature. Then in 1960s, Josephson predicted that a current could tunnel between two superconductors separated by a very thin insulating barrier. Once researchers realized they could combine a superconducting loop with these Josephson junctions, the first SQUIDs were built. To see how a SQUID works, we can look directly at those same two ingredients. First, superconductivity. In a superconductor, electrons don't move individually. Instead, two electrons bind weakly together to form what we call the Cooper pair. A Cooper pair behaves like a single particle with a single quantum wave function, which means the current is carried as a coherent quantum state with a well-defined phase. Because of this coherence, the current can circulate in a closed loop without fading. And since the phase must match itself after going around the loop, the magnetic flux through the loop is forced to follow this quantization condition. Second, the Josephson junction. A Josephson junction is simply two superconductors separated by an extremely thin insulating barrier. Cooper pairs can tunnel through this barrier, and the amount of current through a Josephson junction isn't set by voltage like in normal electronics. It's set by the phase difference of the superconducting wave functions on the two sides. And that phase difference is affected by the magnetic flux in the superconducting loop. This is because the magnetic flux sets the overall phase winding in the loop, and the phase difference across each Josephson junction is part of that winding. So when the flux changes, the phase difference changes too. And a DC SQUID is simply a superconducting loop that contains two of these Josephson junctions. Because the loop contains two junctions, the current can split and go through both paths. How these two currents add together depends on their phases, which in turn depends on the magnetic flux threading the loop. So when the flux changes, the recombined current can interference differently, sometimes adding, sometimes canceling. If we bias the SQUID slightly above its critical current, this interference converts flux changes into voltage changes. So a tiny change in magnetic field causes a noticeable change in voltage. Because of this sensitivity, SQUIDs are used in several areas. In brain imaging, especially MAG, they detect magnetic fields generated by neural activity. This allows doctors to locate seizure foci with high precision and to study how different regions of the brain are activated. In material science, SQUID magnetometers measure extremely small magnetic moments. They help identify superconducting transitions and map out magnetic phases that would otherwise be hard to detect. In geophysics, SQUIDs detect subtle variations in Earth's magnetic fields. This helps in mapping underground structures and in mineral exploration. In quantum technology, SQUIDs are built directly into superconducting circuits. They act as tunable inductors or part of the qubit readout chain, enabling precise control and measurement of qubit states. Beyond these applications, we now have both low-temperature SQUIDs with excellent noise performance and high-temperature versions based on cuprate superconductors that can operate in liquid nitrogen. Modern designs have pushed the sensitivity close to fundamental quantum limits, reduced 1/f noise, and improved stability through better shielding and advanced junction fabrication. Researchers have also developed devices that work in higher magnetic fields, operate faster, and integrate more easily into large-scale cryogenic systems. It's also helpful to see how SQUIDs compare to other magnetic sensing technologies. All sensors are cheap, robust, and work at room temperature, which makes them great for everyday electronics and industrial applications. Flux gate magnetometers are stable and are widely used in Earth field measurements in navigation and survey. NV sensors in diamond operate at room temperature and can provide very high spatial resolution, even at the nanoscale. However, none of these methods reach the sensitivity needed for the ultra-weak, low-frequency magnetic signals that SQUIDs are designed to measure. But SQUIDs still have some limitations. Low-temperature systems require helium cooling. High-temperature devices have a higher noise, and the junctions themselves need precise fabrication and shielding from environmental noise. A lot of ongoing work focuses on improving materials, reducing noise, and making SQUIDs more compact and practical. So overall, SQUIDs give us access to magnetic signals that would otherwise be completely hidden. That's why they've stayed such an important tool across physics, engineering, and even medicine. And that's all I wanted to share today. Thank you for listening.